Avadhuta Gita. It's a very definitive Advaitic text. How indeed shall I worship that formless, undivided, imperishable Shiv? How do I worship Shiv when Shiv is nothing but the pure self, Atma itself? As long as I am, my worship is hollow. The only worship is your departure, and that departure is a choice. It's not about knowing that the choice matters. It's about actually choosing. You need to unbecome yourself sitting where you are. Shiv is the name for this unbecoming. You melt, and the pure void that can be said to remain is Shiv. So we are taking up the Avadhuta Gita in a systematic way now. You are already introduced to it. When did we meet it? Shivaratri, and I had mentioned that next month onwards it will be a formal and regular part of our sessions. So here it is. We'll be taking up 4, 5, maybe 7, 8 verses in a bunch in each session. And let's see, it's a very definitive Advaitic text, non-dualistic, hardcore. And along with the Ribhu Gita, it is known for its very clear and unflinching demolition of all that is false. So it's not just about losing the dualistic fat. It's about scraping the bones so that even the last sticky build, the last sticky molecule of a dualistic illusion can be removed. All right. It is through grace alone that the inclination towards non-duality arises among human beings, among the wise, that frees them from the great fear, right? Duality is ego. Is that clear? That's not rhetoric. That's the principle. That's the law. How is duality ego? Because duality means two ends of reality depending on each other, and one of those ends is always the ego. When you say something is real, something exists, always the question is, For whom? And the answer is for the ego. Right? So duality is always egoic. Those who argue in favor of duality are simply arguing in favor of the ego. Or you could simply say the ego is bound to argue in favor of itself, and therefore the ego loves duality. Duality protects ego. That's the reason, if you will look at the framework given to you recently, the word ontology itself becomes a challenge there, because ontology is to ask what is real, what really exists. And whenever this question is asked in a philosophical framework, it is always without the supplementary question, for whom? So all kinds of philosophies define realities in their own way, rarely acknowledging that whatever is their concept of reality is to the ego. This one says that is real, that one says that is real. For someone, X is real, for somebody else, Y is real. So apparently the clash, the argument, the debate will be X versus Y. This one says X is real, that one says Y is real. And what's conveniently skipped is the question, for whom? For whom? And the ego rejoices. Because when the question is hidden, the ego is hidden. And hidden ego is protected ego. Right. So the verse says the inclination towards non-duality arises through grace, only through grace, and it frees from the great fear. It also qualifies that such an inclination arises only among the wiser human beings. So it is already understood that not everyone will have a non-dualistic inclination. Why? Because not everyone has love enough to demand freedom from fear. We often say demanding that freedom is a choice, right? That the ego is sovereign when it comes to making that choice. The ego could choose living in fear, or the ego could choose challenging fear. If the ego chooses to challenge fear, such a choice is not a product of anything. Such a choice cannot be obtained through a method. Such a choice cannot be an output of an algorithm. Such a choice, we say, is sovereign, causeless. It does not come from anywhere. It cannot be made to happen. Either it happens or it does not happen. Right? Either you inwardly vote in favor of love, or you vote in favor of greed and convenience and security. What's behind that vote? Well, nothing is behind that vote. It's the ego's sovereign choice. Since there is no cause behind that vote, that choice, and yet it is such an important choice to make. Somebody has chosen non-duality. Somebody has chosen truth or freedom. It's a massive choice. It's a choice that means everything. And then we are saying this choice is not coming from anywhere. Because cause and effect are always at the same level, same plane. So the ego making such a significant choice is not coming from any causal agent in the plane of the ego itself. So we say it's not coming from anywhere. Do you get this? It's not that you pop a pill and you fall in love. It's not that somebody can motivate the ego to rebel against itself. The pill, the motivation, all belong to the same level as the ego. So that kind of causal linkage is not possible. Do you get this? But we know how the ego is. We know what kind of crawling, trembling, petty, pathetic thing the ego is. How does it happen that sometimes, even if rarely, it chooses love, it votes for freedom? How does it happen? We know the thing called ego, right? We watch its operations every day. It's there in the mirror all the time. We know what kind of creep it is. Don't we? Isn't it supremely surprising that without any external support, the ego sometimes seems to be making a profoundly wise and deeply courageous decision? How does that happen? Please understand the flow of the argument. First thing is, the ego choosing freedom cannot happen from any agency outside of the ego. But when we say, we also mean any agency outside of the ego in the same plane as the ego. Which is redundant to add, because anyway, the cause and effect are always in the same plane. So anything that acts on the ego, in the usual sense of the word act, is bound to be in the same dimension as the ego. First thing we say is the ego is sovereign, which means you cannot tempt or scare or motivate or delude the ego into making the right choice. So that option is ruled out. If that is ruled out, what remains? That the right decision is coming from the ego itself. Are we together? The right decision cannot come from any factor that influences the ego. right? You cannot talk the ego into loving. You remember, प्रेम सीखना पड़ता है पर सिखाया नहीं जा सकता. Remember that? You cannot talk the ego or preach the ego or teach the ego that thing called love. You cannot do that. So nothing outside the ego can cause it to make the right decision. Though the ego can be influenced into making all kinds of wrong decisions by agents outside of itself, right? You watch the TV, you talk to someone, you read something, you whatever, and you can be conditioned, influenced into doing something stupid. That is fine. But the opposite of that is not possible. An external one can be called as somewhat responsible for deluding you or leading you towards a trap. But once entrapped, if you decide to risk your very life to break free, that cannot be attributed to an external agent. Remember, we said nobody can encourage you or embolden you or motivate you into that kind of a rebellion where you bet your own life or something that means more than life to you. You get this? So it's a strange thing. You can influence the ego into doing all kinds of nonsense. That's fine. We know that, we experience that, we do that. You can influence the ego into doing all kinds of nonsense. And nonsense is what the ego does all the time. 999 out of 1000 times. But here we are talking of the rare case when the ego opts out of nonsense. When the ego votes for freedom. When the ego falls for the truth. How does that one rare case happen at all? And when it comes to that rare happening, we say that cannot be precipitated by anything outside of the ego in the ego's own plane. Clear? So what are we left with? The ego itself is choosing freedom or truth. But now we are faced with an odd situation. Because we know that the ego is a creep. And now we are crediting this creep with choosing freedom and love and all the big things and good things. We know how we are, right? We know. Any exceptions? We know how we are. But 1 in 1,000 times, we seem to be making extraordinary, incredible decisions. Decisions that may prove even irreversible. Not that the ego is choosing to gamble one odd day. It's like putting your life at stake. You lose and you don't return to life. That kind of gamble. How does it happen? How is it possible? If ego is sovereign and the ego is a pervert, how does it seem to make those extraordinarily beautiful decisions? Though very, very rarely. How does that happen? Now, we do not want to retract our statement. We said the ego is sovereign, right? We said that the ego is responsible for its own choices. But we also don't want to make the ego too glad about a great choice. We also want to remain grounded in the fact that the ego as it is always has self-preservation as its first priority. We do not want to forget that. If self-preservation is the first priority, and yet ego is choosing the grand, final, fantastic death called love, how can that even happen? That's a royal contradiction, is it not? Self-preservation is the first priority of the ego, and yet the ego is choosing death. How can that happen? Not physical death, not killing the organism, but its own death, inner death, egoic death, psychological death. How is that even possible? And we have already discounted the possibility that this decision is coming from somewhere outside. No, it is not coming from outside. The ego is sovereign. The ego is making this decision by itself. Who is making this decision? That petty crawling thing that is always worried about its own security. That thing is choosing something so massive. How is it possible? How is it possible? Now, the answer given to that impossibility is grace. Grace. Grace is the word used to settle the contradiction. To reconcile the matter. Yes, it is happening from within the ego, yes. But we know that ordinarily the ego would never choose truth over security. We know that. Ordinarily, the ego would never choose truth over security. Yet sometimes it does. But again, though very rarely, sometimes it does. And when it does, then we say it is grace. Because in the normal algorithm of the ego, such a choice is impossible. And also, from the environment around the ego, nothing would ever want to or succeed in causing such a choice. Therefore, when such a choice does happen, we say it is grace. Grace, just grace. Because nothing can explain such a choice. And that absence baffles. How did this happen at all? To explain that gap, we use the word grace. Oh, this happened just through grace. Meaning, yes, I am sovereign. Yes, this didn't happen as a result of an external pressure. Yes. But at the same time, being realistic, I cannot claim credit for it. Because I know who I am. I know who I am. So if something wonderful has happened through me, I would rather attribute it to grace rather than myself. And that's the honest way of living. All kinds of rubbish happen. Always own them. You are responsible. Something beautiful happens. Credit it to grace. All the shitty things, well, my own doing, because I am the ego. All nonsense, all stink, all rubbish in your life, take responsibility. Surely it is coming from me, because that's my regular pattern. That's my usual algorithm. That's who I am. And something very fresh, beyond your past and your patterns, happens through you. Don't try to claim ownership. Don't assert any claim there. Simply say, this is simply a moment when I was not being myself. It's not that I did it. It happened in my presence, in my absence. And any stupidity, just stand up and say, yeah, that's me, yeah. Is that broken? Oh, that's me. That's me. That's me. Anything broken, that's me. Anything beautiful? That's grace. Get this? And how does the ego usually function? Anything broken, that's you and you. Leeches, vultures, crows, blood-sucking exploiters. Walking over this little victim. And anything that is a little less ugly than usual. If it's ugly, it's me. If it's beautiful, it's my absence. Grace is not a term used to describe some kind of benediction flowing from an external agency towards you. It is not blessings arising from some other place and landing on your heart. It is simply an episode of your rare absence. Though the bare fact is, even that absence is a choice. So even grace actually is just choice. Just that choice is so rare that it seems outlandish, improper to take credit for it. Are you getting it? It's almost like I'm given 100 normal plastic balls on this table and asked to hit a particular target on that wall. And I succeed in hitting this pillar, the ceiling, my own forehead, her glasses. I throw a particular one so hard, it digs a canal right through the earth. I succeed in all kinds of nonsense, total nonsense. And then I get furious and smash two balls together. Anything stupid would be attempted and succeeded at. And then one finds one of the balls indeed does hit the target, and hits the target in a way that there it hits the target and here I vanish. Now the bare fact is, not that somebody else came to do that. That was done by me. But it is so odd to say I did that when I am the one who broke her teeth because I was targeting something there. That kind of sharpshooter am I. And then I say I am the one who actually managed that one particular throw that took the target. It's not about modesty. It's about being honest. Not modest, just honest. So instead of saying I did it, we simply say it is grace. But remember, grace too is a choice. The problem with the concept of grace is it makes you feel somebody else is responsible to pull you up. That you are suffering. If you are suffering, that's because some external good has not yet been supplied to you. He is successful in life. Why? Oh, yeah. He is blessed. He is talented. Grace. None of that was available to me. I'm just a lonely, humble, poor little fellow. I didn't have it. No, you can't take answers from me. Don't ask me those questions. All that they have is by grace. And if I don't have anything, that's because... Yeah. And somebody else up on the skies is choosing. Huh? Who would be the blessed one? And what can I do if I'm not that one? Don't blame me. Grace too is a choice. You could say grace is like the sun. Available? Yes. Availed? Not necessarily. Grace is like the available? Availed? How many are attending the session right now? You're so unsure of yourself. So unsure of yourself, sitting right in front of me, you still have to prove yourself. Many just eagerly, no. Please don't count us out. We assure you we are in. But I am talking of the ones behind the screen. Is the session available? Yes. Is it being availed? No, not necessarily. That's grace. You cannot say it was not available. It was your choice not to take it. So if you feel not blessed, That is not because the blessings ticked you out. That's because you never opened yourself up to the blessings. Or if you feel, as we commonly say, unlucky, that's not because luck chose to disfavor you. That's because you chose to disregard luck. Grace is always available, always. If you don't have it, if you don't receive it, accountability is all yours. Nobody outside of you is being partial. Nobody out there, up there, is putting a cross against your name. Nobody. If you find verve, energy, warmth, love, freshness missing from life, there's only one entity to be possibly blamed, and that's not outside of you. Do you get this? Increasingly, the modern culture is about asserting your victimhood. You know, we are all products of history. Dialectical thinking, no? History determines the individual. Started with Hegel, then Marx took it forward. So I'm nobody. I'm just a product of the unfolding of a historical process. Therefore, what can I do if I suck? That's not me. That's history. Don't blame me. Don't look at me like that. What have I done? I'm nobody. It's because my history is screwed up that I look the way I do and act the way I do. Come on. All that is just an inner egoic conspiracy against ownership, against responsibility. I'm not responsible. History is responsible. What do you know? My folks were persecuted across continents for 3 centuries. That's the reason I am so mean and vicious. That's the reason you will not return in one piece from here. Hiss. Because 3 centuries back, somebody tormented my grandfather. That's the reason I will destroy you today. Without apology. Dialectical nonsense. The problem with this theory is even Marx would disown it. Because this is not what he said. But that's come to become the popular culture. Though Marxism as thought and communism as political ideology They do not seem to be all that visibly powerful. But that is what is determining what we call as much of modernity. You get that? And that is stacked against what the very first verse says here. The first verse says, nonsense, yours. Beauty, grace. And the prevailing culture says, nonsense, the society, the systems, the hierarchies, class conflict. Oh, I come from a particular caste and I have been oppressed. Oh, I come from a particular color. I come from a particular gender, you know. I have the right to complain all the time. I'm a woman. Do you know how all you men have exploited us, not over centuries, but over millennia? You know what you have done to us? But Didi, you are just 25. How could I have been doing something to you 2000 years back? Last time I checked my own age. Even I am just 30. But Didi is enraged all the time because men have been exploiting women since centuries. Now, Avadhuta Gita will sound toxic to such a person. They'll not want to listen. They'll say, but no, this is not right. I'm beautiful. The world paints me ugly. And what is it saying? You are ugly. And if beauty breaks you open, do not assert ownership. Simply pass the credit on. Say, yes, it did happen, but even if that was me, that was actually my absence. Even if that was me in the form of my absence. So I'll pass on the credit. Great things, yes, they can seem to happen through me. But even if they seem to happen through me, they are actually happening through me in the form of my absence. You get this? But at the end of the day, grace is also. So back to square one. Nothing has changed for you. Being present, being absent is a choice the ego makes. You cannot remove the ego from its inner chair without its consent. The ego is seated with total authority on its chair inside, and you cannot displace it without its own consent. So it's a choice. We don't want to accept that because we are afraid of responsibility. If everything turns out to be choice, there is left no refuge to hide under. No. You cannot now come up with an excuse and say, I'm shitty because of such a thing. All the reasons go out of the window. If you're shitty, it is because of you. It's a choice. You cannot say, no, no, no. Why didn't you do your work? Why didn't you publish? Why didn't you get up? I overslept. That seems like such a reasonable justification. But I was just innocently sleeping. I was not conspiring. I was snoring. I'm innocent. No, even oversleeping is a choice. Oh, that kind of responsibility, the ego is incapable of handling. Or so it says. Because we do have examples and instances where the ego can prove to be supremely responsible. So if in spite of being capable of responsibility, you still act irresponsible, that's a choice. That's a choice. So much said. But no relief at all. We thought finally some new scripture will say something different. Give the ego some relief from all that burden of responsibility and accountability. But as somebody said, the more things change, the more they remain the same. The more the scriptures change, the more they say the same. And this one is very sharp and very naked. Doesn't mince things at all. Blunt. Not clear? Your choice. Clarity is there. You may choose not to receive it. So if you say not clear, that won't throw me into some inferiority complex. Oh, I failed as a teacher. I couldn't explain it lucidly enough to him. If you don't get it, your choice. Live with it. Wow. Get it? Choice. Now, second verse. That by which this entire world is completely pervaded. Atma alone. In Atma. How indeed shall I worship that formless, undivided and imperishable Shiva? You know what is being said here? The usual kind of worship, admiration, salutation is all dualistic. I worship X. X is great. And what has now become comfortably secured in the greatness of X? Who am I? The one who worships X. And X is great. So now I can't be dislodged. Who am I? A devotee of X. X is great. And that secures me. Because now X and I have formed a very tight pair, You get this? And X is supposed to be great. I am tightly bound to X. Nothing can happen to X because X is. So nothing can happen to me either. I'm the lyrical devotee. La. Hundred of it. Lyrical gangster. So I'm the lyrical devotee. La. Excuse me, Mr. Teacher. La. What is this non-duality? I am a devotee. Ooh la la. I am a devotee of X. And the ego says, yes. Now you know why Advaita could never become a thing of the masses. Kills the ego. Now you know why the common kind of dualistic devotion attracts billions, because the ego finds safe refuge there. Safe refuge. Very safe for the ego. And therefore very useless also. Not just useless, actually toxic. Very toxic. It has destroyed mankind and the planet. The dualistic kind of lok dharma. But still it has remained popular, prevalent, respectable, mainstream. Look at this. You know what is being said here? If the self is the non-dual, which means only truth, then who's left to worship anybody? And worshipping itself would defy non-duality. Because to worship there must be duality. To worship there must be. How do I worship Shiv? When Shiv is nothing but the pure self, Atma itself. How do I worship? The only way to worship is by not remaining myself. And when you are not yourself, what can be said to remain is Shiv. Can't be imagined. Shiv does not remain as a residue of the ego. All residues of anything are in the same plane as the thing, right? If I burn it, incinerate it, it would leave behind some residue. But if it's kept on this table, where would you find the residue? On the table. On the table. Or you will find something vaporized. But even that is in the dimension of the senses, right? Whatever has gone into the air can be smelled. So it's still the same dimension. Shiv is not a residue. Shiv is the foundation. There's a difference between residue and foundation. The very base. Base, not in the normal sense of the word. Because in the normal sense of the word, the foundation and the building belong to the same dimension. Right? In fact, the building and the foundation are made of much the same material. But within the limits of the language, how else do we attempt what we are trying to communicate? So we say, Shiv is my absence. Who is Shiv? My absence. When I am not, and that's the reason Nirvana Shatkam does not attempt even once to describe Shiv in any affirmative way. Simply keeps negating and negating and negating. And when everything is negated, what is Shiv. So how do I worship Shiv? By remaining myself and offering prayers and stuff, water, leaves and milk or something. That's the way to worship? No. That's not how you worship Shiv. You worship Shiv by not remaining at all. That is the only way to worship. In fact, it's disrespect. Being yourself, remaining yourself, if you bow down or prostrate, that's actually disrespect. Because, well, we know who you are. And what are you doing here? By making such tall claims of devotion. We know who you are. We know who you are, and yet you are acting as if you are devoted. Had you been devoted, you wouldn't have remained. But you still are. So what's this entire lie about? What's this whole lie about? So what we usually observe as dualistic devotion is actually a big fraud. The ego saying, I worship X, and then securing itself in the name of X. Now you see, I am related to X. Like those youngsters who brag in front of the traffic constables. तो ये पता है ना मेरा बाप कौन है? That secures them, right? That secures them. I'm related to such a top person. I'm related to a top man. And that gives me security for again violating the traffic rules. Similarly, I worship X. You know who's the one I'm related to? God Himself. And that grants me indemnity from any charges. I can, But all that, what to do with Avadhuta Gita? Simply saying, how indeed shall I worship that formless, undivided, imperishable Shiv? Such helplessness. As long as I am, my worship is hollow. As long as I am, my worship is hollow. You have come to something very dangerous. The only real worship is right choice. Because remaining who you are is a choice, right? And as long as you remain, worship is a fraud. As long as you remain, worship is fraud. The only worship is your departure. And that departure is a choice. So choice is worship. whether or not you are a devotee or a worshipper, can be seen only in the choice you make. That choice is the only determinant, only proof, everything. No words, no grand gestures, no performances can prove anything. The only proof is the life you live, the life you choose to live. If you really are a devotee, let your devotion shine in your absence. Let your inner absence be the proof of your devotion. That's the only proof there can be. Otherwise, this is not devotion. Or rolling on streets, or marching in gangs and harassing commoners. None of that is devotion. Loudspeaker blaring through the night. That is not devotion. No way. And that's, in fact, it's so lousy. It should not even be called a spiritual offense. It should simply be taken as a social offense. Those who do these kind of things, they don't even require teachers or priests to take care of them. All they require is the police. In fact, sometimes it happens. Somebody asks me a question and I say, you don't require a teacher. You require a policeman. Because that's who you are. You very well know what you are doing. Yet you continue to do that. How can any teacher help you? Now you need the danda. Only that can help you. Teacher can help you see when there is a blockage. The teacher can hold a mirror to you. But if you are someone whose life skill lies in smashing mirrors, then you require a police inspector rather than a teacher. Do you get this? Oh. The Avadhuta Gita is for those who would have verses rather than FIRs. What do you prefer? What's your choice? Verses. Sure. Most of us are beyond the ken of verses. What most of us actually need is FIRs. That would set us straight. That by which alone this entire world is completely pervaded. Atma alone and in Atma. What is meant by that? The self pervades the entire world. Can be understood in two ways. Non-duality has no base of its own. Duality has no base of its own. The ego depends on the world, and the world is to the ego. Right? The ego cannot exist without the body, and the body cannot exist without the world. And the world is experienced only by the ego. Experienced in the sense of given a meaning only by the ego. So that's the dualistic relationship, which means neither of them are independent. This depends on this depends on this, that's fine. But these two must be coming from somewhere, right? So then a non-dual base is posited. What is said is that these two cannot have any independent existence, even though they appear to exist. Right? So a name is given to that which is not dependent, and therefore has to be substratum from which these two arise. Right? So that's some kind of a backward linkage, that if non-duality is, if duality is even at the vyavharik level, the level of experience, where does this experience come from at all? So a backward link is posited, right? That from which both ends of duality arise is the non-dual truth. And then there is the forward linkage. How does that go? The ego is busy looking for contentment in the world, right? So these are the two dualistic ends. The ego is here, and what's the ego looking for? Contentment in the world continuously. And what does that contentment actually mean? The disappearance of the ego. But if the ego is gone, will the world remain? No. So even these two exist as if with a purpose to disappear into something else. Because if these two continue to exist as they are, as the two dualistic poles, right? None of them can be at peace. The ego, we know by definition, is restless. And when the ego is restless, it destroys the world also. You get this? The entire purpose, the ego keeps wandering in the world, keeps checking out the entire universe continuously, is so that it gets something that can help it disappear. But if the ego is gone, will that one solitary end remain on its own? No. That too would be gone. So these two exist as if to disappear into something else. That's the forward linkage. Do you get this? And hence it is said that this entire world is pervaded by that truth called Atma. Atma. Nothing but that is there. As if you are looking out, because you are looking for something, and that which you are looking for is Atma. The ego is continuously looking out towards the world, right? And it appears you are looking towards this pillar or that wall or something. But the thing is, even if you are looking at this, you are looking for your disappearance. There is no other reason you look at anything. Whatever you look at, the real motive is, can this one give me that? Can this one give me that? And I love to say that's the reason the eyeballs keep rolling. Because nothing can give you that. So the eyes don't stay stable at any one particular object. They come to this one and check this. No. Maybe there I get stuck for a while, but 3 months later, no, not even this one. Find this one, okay, that one. Keep rolling. Every sense in the body, indriya, is meant to move and detect movement. Have you seen? If there is no movement, your senses will fail. If everything stays exactly as it is, your senses will be of no use. They can only detect change. If you keep hearing one particular kind of vibration, after some time you'll stop hearing it. Your ears won't register it. If you keep seeing just one thing, you'll stop seeing that thing. The eyes need a background. If for an object to be seen, the eyes require a contrasting background. If there is only one thing to be seen, nothing will be seen. All your senses are meant for movement. Your entire being is meant to move. Why is it meant to move? Because it is searching for something. The eyes are searching for something, the ears are searching for something, the legs are something for something, the arms are searching for something, thoughts are searching for something. Because the driver is the ego, and the ego is searching for something. Do you get this? That which this entire system is looking for is named as Atma. But that which you are looking for cannot be had as long as you exist. So in other sense, all of us are looking for our own while remaining determined to protect ourselves. Sir, I seek my disappearance while remaining fully present. You remember enlightenment? The ego awarding death certificate to itself. That's what we want. Can I disappear while I remain? Can I be absent while remaining subtly present? That's what the ego wants, and that cannot be granted. You get this? Atma is not an object. Atma is not a concept. It is a word given to point at the absence of the ego. It does not point to something beyond the ego. This is a major clarification, and this is where a lot of scholars lose it. Atma is not something beyond the ego. If you do that, you are objectifying it. If you do that, you are creating another object for the ego to play with. Atma is not something beyond the ego. Atma is a word used to point towards the disappearance of the ego. What does Atma mean? Self. The ego says, I am the self. Atma is used to snatch this claim from the ego. The ego wants to say, I. Atma also means I. It's not a coincidence. Aham means I. And Atma also means, so these are two competing claims for the I. You see, we say aham and Atma. Aham means I, Atma also means I. Atma is used so that it can be asserted that aham is not the real I. That does not mean that there is an alternate I in the form of Atma, and that's the mistake commoners make, even scholars make. They say the false I is ego. The real I is. Now you have turned it into an object. Atma is simply absence, not a competing or alternate I. Do you get this? And that's the reason when the sages gave us the word Atma, they put enough disclaimers there so that you don't get deluded, so that the ego doesn't easily succeed in co-opting the word Atma. Because the ego would love to say, oh, earlier I was the false self, now I am the true self. The false self was called Ahankar, the true self is called Atma. And who is playing Atma now? Ahankar. So that Atma cannot be co-opted by the ego, so that Atma does not become an object or a concept. So many, we said, disclaimers were put. So many qualifiers were attached. Objects have gun because they belong to Prakriti. Atma, therefore, was said to be Nirgun. Objects have Akar. Atma was said to be Nirakar. Everything that an object can have was negated, so that it becomes clear to you that the Atma is nothing that the ego can stake claim to. In a sense, Atma is nothing at all. At least 100 disclaimers exist in Vedantic literature. The moment you start making an image of Atma, they come up with another disclaimer. No, this cannot be Atma. No, this cannot be Atma. Now, this is another disclaimer. Atma is that which cannot even be worshipped. Atma is that which you cannot even target in your thoughts as a devotee. So, Alakh Niranjan. So what is Atma really? Nothing but the disappearance of the ego. Not an alternate self. You make this mistake continuously, right? You say the little self is ego, the big self is Atma. No. There is only one self. And that is the little self. Just that the little self is very adept, very skillful at playing the grand self. So when it is attacked as the little self, it inflates itself and starts playing the big self and says, no, no, no. Ahankar is dead. Ahankar is dead. I am Atma. Worship me. I am enlightened. You can celebrate my Buddhatva day. Do you get this? This that we used is just pedagogical, not actual. What is this? Aham Atma Prakriti. This is a teaching tool at the Vyavharik level. That's all. You understand this? Atma is not an object. Atma is nothing at all. Nothing at all. Look, even here it's being described in the negativa. Nirakaram, abhinnam, avyayam. Vyaya means that which can be expended. Avyaya means, is there anything in Prakriti that does not decay or change or perish? So it's being clarified to you. Atma is nothing in Prakriti. No object at all. Not even a mental object. Not even something that you can express through words. Then Nirakaram, Abhinnam. Anything in Prakriti that is indistinct from anything else. If something is indistinct from something else, it will be called as something else. So Prakriti is Vividhata, Bhinnata, right? Just to clarify to you that please, yes, we need to move away from the ego. The ego needs to get away from itself, yes. But please be careful that in the process of getting away from yourself, do not get away from your old self and slip into a new robe and a new role. Because that is very much possible. Disappearance is not about changing clothes, or is it? But that has always been happening, not just today, but centuries back. That's why this caution, abundant caution everywhere in Vedantic literature. When challenged, the ego simply says, oh, I am dead. Bhakton, don't fall for that. Chameleon. You understand that? The inner thing is the same. The costume has been changed. No, not Ahankar. I am now Atma. Don't sit like that. Worship me. Do you get this? And it's not important that you are not someone who asks others to acknowledge your change. If you do not do that, that's not very special or extraordinary of you. What's important is that mostly we delude ourselves into believing that we are no more the same person we were. you are still the same person. When you are a thug of the highest order, then you say Aham has become Atma. When you are the usual pickpocket, then you say, no, I have had an inner transformation. I have become purer at heart. I have been with the Gita since 2 years now, you see. And I am also a vegan now. Therefore, take me as a different being. Now you have just moved from E1 to E2. E1 was ego 1, and you have moved to nothing has fundamentally changed. No, but I assure you, things have changed. Earlier, I used to have all those kinds of, you see, tendencies. I was lustful. I mean, no, I'm honest, so I'll acknowledge that, And now that is no more there. So that is because you are touching 55. There is nothing spiritual in that. That's simply hormonal and muscular. So why do you want to take credit for that? The thing is not that you now don't indulge in something. The thing is you can't even if you try to. No, but even my tendencies have changed. Sir, the fundamental tendency is the ego tendency. It can give up on all other tendencies. But the fundamental tendency will remain. E will remain. 1 will change to 2. 2 will change to 3. And ultimately everything will change to Atma. From E1 to E3 to E4 to E5 to Atma. I am now the pure self. I am now the, but I still am. Am I not clever? You don't need to become Atma. You need to unbecome yourself. Atma is no destination. If there is a destination, the traveler will remain to reach the destination. You need to unbecome yourself sitting where you are. Do you get this? Shiv is the name for this unbecoming. You melt, and the pure void that can be said to remain is Shiv. Not a form, not a place, not an attribute, not a concept, simply a pure sacred void. And that is worship. That is bhakti. You understand that? Only that is bhakti. Bhakti is another name for honesty. Bhakti is not about being devoted, it's about being honest. Devotion is self-preservation. I worship X. Don't forget that. See, behind all these discussions that we are holding in such a formatted way, a nicely organized audience, and you have been here since a few hours now, And the activities had been scheduled since afternoon, in fact since days. And you too would have prepared since a few days to come here. You applied, then there was a confirmation, and there is a process and the whole structure. And this method where I'm sitting here and this is a raised platform and you are sitting in this way and there's that audience, and we know the capacity of hall, so only that particular number is admitted. And so it appears that it's a thing of formulation. It's a thing of some kind of architecture or algorithm. That it is a thing that can be formulaic. You can have some kind of a roadmap, a plan, a process, a method, a technique. We've already discussed the fundamental thing is choice. All of this doesn't help actually. This is nonsense. Total nonsense. What helps is only that choice. And that choice is not organized at all. It is not something that you can come to as a result of some orderly process. In fact, that choice is inner destruction. It's an inner anarchy when seen from the usual eyes of the ego. It's disorder. It's love. It's love. The problem is we do not understand that at the base of all this organization is the totally unorganized thing called love. And if that is not there, this organization, I repeat, is rubbish. This doesn't mean anything at all. Because after all this, you have to choose. And that choice can come only from love. And most of us are so afraid we can admit anything but love. Anything is possible except love. But that choice can come only from love. It cannot be a rational choice. Never. It can never be something that you think over and logically come to. It's always an inner madness. But this structure makes you feel, we are people of stature and composure. No madness. See how neatly the rows are arranged. See how well catalogued, arranged, and well planned everything is. Even the cabs are already waiting. This is, I repeat, the day there would be love, I'll start throwing things at you and pick up maybe this and put it on your head. Love can't be taught, but that's the way it can be attempted. This is... you want to waste my time, you want to waste your time, you're welcome. Keep doing this. But without that stupid thing called love, nothing will move for you. Nothing at all. And that cannot come to you through verses. Sorry. In fact, even the ones who are giving you these verses, the very authors, the teachers, they they too didn't receive these in some organized way. It is presented to you in an organized way, but it is never received by the presenter in any organized way. These are received by you in the moment of your devastation. These are received by you in the moment of your vulnerability, your nakedness, when you have nowhere else to hide. These are revealed to you in dark and sobbing corners. Not in such composed ways. You sit here like a scholar and yeah, great. Atma is not an alternate ego. No. A nonsense. Take it. What does this statement even mean? Atma is not alternate ego. Bullshit. What is this? But you feel so good about it. Nice ROI. I suppose I can donate a little more. Today he gave us something really, wonderful. Good value for money. I'm giving you nonsense. This means nothing at all. Nothing. And that which means something, I actually feel sad. I don't see it on too many faces. Fear I see, limitations I see, hesitation, trepidation I see. Love, no. You're just too afraid. All fear is of self-preservation. You're just too determined to preserve yourself. Love is impossible. Or, when I say love, you get eager to have fun in the name of love. Which is not even stupid. It is infantile. If I say, who is ready for love? Some infants will raise their arms. This won't help. Why don't you get it? You need cracks. You understand cracks? These nice walls, they need to come down. You remain composed. You have built very, very strong walls to hide behind. Yeah? The walls have a great strength, and that you call as your strength, right? No. Your walls have strength, and you're so weak you hide behind those walls. The walls are strong, you are weak. Often when we say a man is strong, what we actually mean is that he has very strong walls. But the stronger your walls are, the weaker you are. Why else would you need such strong walls as fortresses? Give me knowledge. I will get good marks next exam. Does something burn inside you ever? Ever? What happens to you at night? You just sleep. What do you do at night? Nothing burns. You sleep. Sleep. You don't tremble for no reason at all. This is just paper and ink. You need blood, heart. Do you sleep? And I feel so annoyed, even ashamed sometimes of continuing this pretense with you, as if one could learn from words. It's not about knowing that the choice matters. It's about actually choosing. Not knowing, but choosing. Knowing can help you only to the extent that it can remove the notion that life can change without your choice. That notion can be removed by knowing and these sessions. Yes. Most of us harbor that superstition, right? That even without my choice, things can improve for me. So the sessions can at most help you clear that notion. But knowing in itself is not choosing. The choosing has to be done by you. It's an intensely private thing. It is in your total aloneness that you choose love. And you're so afraid. How will you choose? You can't be alone. You can't burn. Does it happen that a song reminds you of something and you listen to it on loop? Does it happen? Or does even that not happen? Even that does not happen. What do? Eat? Earn, eat, sleep, shave. Are you gripped by an inner frenzy? At least sometimes. Something that makes your head spin. You know you're losing it, but you don't want to stop it. Does that happen? No, you don't allow that to happen. The moment that happens, you become a nice, cultured, civilized, decent gentleman. or a respectable lady? How do I allow myself to go crazy? Do you dance? Just to yourself? Do you? Do you? I'm not talking of the Lokdharmik pandals. I'm also not talking of the discotheque. You dance just to yourself. You do purchase vegetables and cook. Peel potatoes. Cook potatoes. Eat potatoes. Life is a fat potato. I feel like giving up. What's the point in carrying on if you remain so dead? 1980s and 90s, there used to be that Bajaj scooter. Winter mornings, you keep kicking it. This is the sound it used to make. When will you be ignited? I can't keep kicking forever. And unlike the engine, your ignition is a choice that you have to make. But Mama calls me every night and she asks me, "You're still the good girl now?" I can't betray her. Devotion, a culture of devotion requires a particular ecosystem. And that ecosystem is built on fear. And fear impedes dissolution. That's the reason why it is so difficult for you to give up on your supports, on your crutches, on your scaffoldings, because a long standing culture and all has filled you up with a lot of fear. And where there is devotion, there can be no dissolution. What are you trying to save? What are you trying to protect? Please tell me. Yeah. Yeah. I understand if there is a genuine threat, one must protect himself. But what do you have to protect? What's the threat you face? There is no real threat of the kind you imagine. Yet you are always afraid. You are so afraid. I can't even speak authentically to you. Because from your fear, when you will hear, you find you won't tolerate. So I have to give you diluted and sugar coated stuff. You're not ready for the real thing. What's the real thing? Something is being hidden here. Tauji was right. Some conspiracy is brewing. He just admitted. He is hiding something. Afraid for no reason, no purpose, just afraid. Uh, Sometimes caution can be taken as strategic. One understands that. But in your case, it's not caution, it's baseless fear. That shows in every aspect of your association with the foundation also. Won't write on the community. Why? I have nothing to write. No. Not that you have nothing to write. Actually, you have everything to hide. Remember this. When somebody says, I have nothing to write, what he's actually saying is, I have everything to hide. And I'm ashamed of the life I live. So I must hide it. And not only I'm ashamed, I'm also afraid that if I expose my shameful life, I'll be harmed. So on one hand, I am ashamed. On the other hand, I want the shame to remain. I want that shameful life to continue. रिफ्लेक्शन वेल कुछ था नहीं. लिखने को कुछ नहीं था क्योंकि छुपाने को बहुत कुछ था. इतनी शर्म आती है उस जिंदगी से जिसको छुपा रहे हो, तो उसको जी क्यों रहे हो? उसको जीते लाज नहीं आती, लिखते लाज आती है. No, but you see, I'm Mr. Chadha. I'm respected in society. I have 2 daughters to marry. I must remain respectable. I've already gathered enough dowry. Oh, you want me to like totally expose myself? Like, no. After all this, you'll just die. Do you understand that? We are all just going to die. There is nothing you can save. Your fear does not help you save anything. And very soon you will die. Everything in spiritual literature points towards that choice. And that choice will never get made. You will just die. Having lived a safe life. Oh, I lived very safely. Oh my God, I saved everything. Now, yes, you lived very safely. You saved everything. Now, die. Atma alone is. There is neither division nor non-division, neither bhed nor abhed. How then shall I say it is or it is not, asti or nasti? To me, this is very astonishing. Anything said about the truth as an object will require the ego as the subject. Anything said about the truth as an object, will need the ego as subject. So saying anything about the truth preserves the ego. Say bhed, the ego is secured. Say abhed, the ego is secured. Say asti, ego is secured. Say nasti, the ego is secured. Because whatever is said by the ego. So it's not about what is said. It is about who has said. And the speaker is always the ego. And look at the audacity of this false speaker. It says so much about the truth. Being false itself, it keeps saying so much about the truth. And says great things, impressive things. Do you get this? It's not about all the wonderful things that you say or read in the scriptures. The question is, who is the speaker and who is the reader? Say beautiful things, lofty things, astonishing things, scholarly things. And the speaker gets more reasons and more validations to survive. No? You see, I can survive because I speak so well, and I can speak even about the truth. So that means I am licensed to survive. I have read all the Upanishads, all 108. All 108. My inner stuff is now steeped in Vedantic wisdom. Oh yes, you're lovely. And that entitles you to survive. The ego has survived. It's not about what you have read. It is about whether you have made the choice to eliminate the reader. And that, I repeat, is love. That, I repeat, is madness. Without madness, none of these scholarly discussions are any good. Rigid walls can be broken, hammer them and you will see cracks. What are very difficult to break are trampolines. You know what trampolines are? Very elastic surfaces. If you throw a hard ball at this wall, it will probably crack because it is at least rigid. It stays at its place. It does not yield. Because it does not yield, it will be broken. We are not even like hard walls. Our inner surfaces are very elastic. So when something is thrown at us, we accommodate it. We accommodate it. The elastic stretches to accommodate it. And after the thing is gone, the elastic returns to its normal position. We are very elastic. I find it easier to deal with walls because they have a certain honesty. They stick to their positions. They say, this is my position, I won't leave it. That's the statement of a wall, right? And then I can crack them because when I hit them with a hammer, they won't displace themselves to dodge the hammer. But elastic surfaces like ours, very difficult. We are very obedient people. We are very submissive. We don't stand firm like walls. We accommodate, we adjust, we give in. No? And this kind of ego is very difficult to break. You are stretchable. So in the sessions I stretch you and you yield. You get stretched. And then you return and you receive some phone call and that one stretches you in another direction. You again get stretched and you again return and then you are stretched in some other direction. Had you been rigid, you would have been broken. But you're not rigid. Your problem is you're just too elastic. You are flexible in all directions. Are you not flexible in all directions? Please tell me. Being flexible in all directions is not love, that's sellability. That's how a product is marketed. It is useful in many ways. You can treat it as a utensil. It can function as a mop. It can function as a toy. And then you say, wow, it's a nice thing. The user can put it to all kinds of uses, all kinds of desired uses. That makes you sellable in the market of the world. And that's why you've become like that, so that you can be sold. So that you have a lot of customers. And when you have customers, you get paid. So you have become flexible. Ultra pro stretch. In front of me, you will be stretched in one direction. Another place, you will be stretched in a totally different direction. Nowhere is there any resistance. And love means stubborn resistance. Stubborn, not just resistance. Crazy resistance. Resistance to the point of indifference. You exert pressure on me. I resist you. Even that acknowledges your existence. Love is so resistant, it becomes indifferent to nonsensical voices. And then that choice gets made that the Upanishads talk of. Upanishads do not arise from a classroom. They arise from a very crazy place. Lokdharm won't tell you that. Lokdharm will say, in a sober moment, the sage was sitting with his disciples. They were all well cleaned, well washed, well bathed and well groomed. None of them had an extra hair on the chin. And from that smoothness arose the Upanishads. The head has to be shaved in the smoothest way possible. And then from this great smoothness, the Upanishads arise. Sorry, that's not the way it happens. But the potatoes are still waiting. How long will you speak? The complete essence of Vedanta is knowledge and self-knowledge alone. That's the complete essence of Vedanta. Atma Gyan. Full stop. Nothing more than that. The Avadhuta Gita is calling that as Vedanta Sar Sarvaswam. Full stop. Not just Sar. The total essence. Vedanta is nothing except self-knowledge. Full stop. Get this? Gyan and Vigyan. Knowing and living. Knowing it, living it. I alone am the self, by nature formless and all pervading. Nirakar Sarvavyapi. That's all that Vedanta is. I am Atma. I alone am Atma. What does that mean? I am not. That does not mean the ego is the Atma. I is ego. When you say I am, you mean the ego is. The ego is not Atma. I am Atma simply means the ego is false. If this alone is Vedanta, what is all this that you see on the streets? How has that been given the authority to call itself dharma? Is that dharma? So reclaim the word. That is not dharma. Even calling it lok dharma is some kind of concession. Because even if you say it is lok dharma, it sounds like some kind of distorted version of dharma. It is not even a distorted version of dharma. It is something totally opposite to dharma. It shouldn't be called lok dharma, it should be called adharma. But mummy is doing the same thing. What do I do? Somebody posted a big pic of a bowl of custard and said, "This is what my mama has forced me to drink." What, she opened your mouth with a cleaver and then put a funnel into it and poured custard? Look at the lovelessness. And without love, there can be no strength. What can I do? My mama forces me to drink custard every day, and my brother eats mutton in front of me daily. What can I do? I am just a 28-year-old little girl. What is little about you? This actually happened. A pick of custard. Throw, break, destroy, shatter, slap. You don't have muscles, you don't have hands. What are these for? But that requires a bit of madness. That requires you to drop your calculations for a second. But you can't let go of your calculations. If I do this, you know. My husband keeps abusing me in front of the kids. But I don't reply to him because that will put a poor influence on the kids. Like, seriously. The husband is abusing you using the choicest expletives in front of the kids. Right? But if you respond, you say, "Oh, the kids will get a bad message." Seriously? And then 4 or 5 from the community will come and counsel this one. Yeah, you are a very Susil Nari. What? You're anyway going down. Go down with all guns blazing. You know, when I'm playing with a better player, and even if I'm losing, I'm 5, 6, 8 points behind. My objective then is not to win. but to make the next point memorable. Because now I know the match can be over any moment now. I know I'm behind and I know I probably won't catch up. No, my objective is to enjoy it every point, and sometimes I win. I'm going down. I'll go down all guns blazing. I'm anyway losing it. Why not lose it with a flourish? Why not demonstrate a great shot or two to that one? Because he's anyway going to walk away with the pride of the win. Let him also walk away with the pride, or the wound of the smash or the drop or whatever. I understand. I mean, fine. Students, housewives, you'll probably lose. But lose in a way you can be proud of yourself. Huh? The other one fine, that's fine. I mean, external variables are beyond your control. But it's always a choice to give a good fight. This is your fist and that is his nose. Right? And even the nose. Nose of even the most well-built person is the place where it hurts. And I'm not talking of personal or physical fights alone. The kind of society we live in, physical fights are a rarity. I'm talking of psychological scuffles. That's where you lose it. Even in sports, the loss is usually more psychological than physical. Because beyond a level, the players are almost evenly matched in their physiques. Beyond the club level, the players are, in terms of their physical strength, stamina, etc., almost even. It's often the psychological aspect that determines who prevails. Don't think about the entire match. Play it point by point. And just tell yourself, the next point needs to be memorable. And salute yourself. That's fine. Because there is anyway nobody else to bow down to, right? Advait. So even in a losing cause, when you deliver a good punch, well done. Well done. Not ha 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 ha. You say fa 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 fa. This won't help. Nayam Atma Balhinin Labhyo. And this is all Atma. Atma, 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 Atma. Avadhuta Gita is Atma from the first till 8th chapter. Go. Nothing.
Just download the Acharya Prashant app, and there you go to the community section, and you have live testimonials streaming in at the rate of one every 5 minutes. I'm seeing lives change in thousands, if not millions, every day in front of my own eyes. We are doing it.
Right.
We have actually done it.
Join the community of more than 2 lakh participants on the Acharya Prashant app. Your first month is completely free. You'll get full access to Gita Mission. On the app, you will get regular live sessions, daily exclusive conversations with Acharya Prashant, access to the vibrant Gita community, wisdom exams, curated news, audiobooks, quotes, and much more. Search Acharya Prashant on Google Play Store or Apple App Store and download now.